welcome to the Data Stream. I'm Dave Anderson with Stream 3 Creative. This is our video blog, and today we have in our studio Nick Carter. Nick, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good today, staying busy.
Good, very good. Well, you have got a new book out, and I get to do this on the brand new Jay Leno set that we've devised here, Unfunded. Tell us about Unfunded.
Well, being an entrepreneur, I get into a lot of startup communities, talking with a lot of people about their new idea, next big idea, and it seems like every young entrepreneur I talk to, they have this de facto conclusion that I have an idea, next thing, step A, idea, step B, get funded. You go on your knees before some VCs, try to network with angels, try to find somebody who will buy equity in the business. And not that there's anything wrong with selling equity in order to raise funds early. I just wanted people to know that doesn't have to be the de facto conclusion. There actually are ways to go to market, bootstrapped, so to go with limited budget, limited resources, get to market, generate revenue early, and then use that as a strategy to self-fund the company in a perpetual motion.
So how do you do that? What are some of the ideas?
The number one thing is you have to minimize what you're going to market with. We call it an MMF, a minimum marketable feature. People call it lean startup. But basically, a lot of people, they look at their new product or their new idea, whatever it's going to be. Someone will say, I've got this idea. It's kind of like Facebook, but, or whatever. And then what they try to do is they want to go to market with something as big as Facebook. And they forget that Facebook went to market with the ability to throw your photo up, say your name, your age, and your hometown. That was it. It took them 9 years to have the feature set that they have today. And so boil it down. What's the minimum marketable feature that someone will actually spend some money on? It's not your gorgeous baby. It's not the full featured thing, but just to get somebody to sign a check month one, immediately. And then how do you use that revenue early to then snowball and fund your future features? So
you're basically letting your customer base then tell you what they will pay for, which is another great way of doing effective market research.
Bingo. I call it customer capital. Yeah. I've got a chapter called Customer Capital. People, they're always looking for venture capital. There's debt capital. And what I'm keying in on is customer capital. How do you make sure that you're funding your company from customer revenues rather than from selling equity or from going into debt?
And this is a book that's written out of experience because you are the owner of Address 2. Tell us a little bit about how your experience as an entrepreneur led into writing a book.
Yeah, it's interesting. So with Address 2, early on, the going unfunded was the de facto conclusion for me. I mean, I was the last company to enter a mature market. So we've got this space called CRM where people have been competing for over 2 decades. And if I would have, in 2008, gone to someone and said, I've got this idea for a CRM, will you fund it? They would have laughed me out of the room.
Yeah, what did the stock market do yesterday?
Exactly. It's 2008, the market's soft, and you want to enter an already mature market where there's tons of competitors already existing. But the interesting thing is, I didn't even think about getting funded then. About a year later, it was when I actually had to start telling VCs no. So they started coming to me, and I had
It's funny how that game works. It's about the time that you figured it out.
By the time it's like, I don't need you now. No, but it forced me to really think, do I need the venture capital? If I got a check written, the earlier offers were under 100,000. I mean, they were really seed capital. But if I got 50,000 in angel investment and we did an equity share on this or some sort of, other model for capitalization, what would I do with it? Do I need it in order to grow? And it allowed me to realize that, does money help? Sure, I could use the money. I could spend anyone else's money pretty easily. But I actually determined I don't have to have it. And it forced me to come up with a strategy for if I'm not going to take capital that way, how else am I going to capitalize this company and grow it?
It makes it real easy to see what's important and what's right there, what's really critical when people with money are telling you to do that.
Yeah, and once it became a decision that I had to consciously make, then I had to create a strategy around it. And that's where Unfunded started to really come into shape. And then, 2 years later, after it's been working, people are starting to take note of Address 2. It's gaining notoriety. I'm starting to spawn off some other businesses, and I decided I wanted to tell other people the story.
Well, that's really interesting how you can go from the very beginning to the end. And I think, for entrepreneurs that are out there, that's got to offer an awful lot of hope, because in this time, unlike a few years ago where, people were throwing money after good ideas, it's tougher and tougher to find. And it looks like that's going to be the future going forward. So.
Yeah, even the reality is there's a lot of people who want to get funded that are reading the book. And it's because if you go before VCs today, they don't want, seed capital True venture capital is harder and harder to find. People don't want to be a round day investor. They want to know that you've at least gone to market, you've taken a minimum marketable feature, you've gone to the marketplace, you've validated your concept because you've made, even if it's a smidgen of revenue, somebody has bought your idea. Now you have something to talk to VCs about. Gone are the days when it's a total idea that has yet to see any fruition and someone will write you a check for it. Today, you really need to have proven out at least some small fraction of your business model before you're going to get funded.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I talk about in Chapter 1 is why go unfunded? Well, some people go unfunded for at least a month or a quarter or a year just so they can actually get funded. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, where can people find the book? Is it in bookstores? How do I get a copy of it?
You get a copy online. It's at gounfunded.com. So just gounfunded.com. And you can click on buy the book there. There's a couple other resources we have if you're an entrepreneur, if you're going unfunded. We've got a directory of people who are proudly going unfunded. We also allow other vendors who have free tools, free resources, free things that they're offering to people to help their small businesses get started. We want to build a directory of that as well. So we've got a lot of different resources on the website.
So you're building a community around the concept.
Bingo.
Okay.
One of my goals is I definitely want to make sure that, it says on the back cover, we want to give the unfunded route credence in the startup community. It feels like if you say you're a startup, you're not a real startup unless you got VC written with 2 commas in it.
If you're not on Shark Tank, you don't count.
Exactly. And so I wanted to be able to allow unfunded startups to actually have a community built and have some credence to their path.
Okay. Yeah. Well, listen, Nick, I appreciate you coming by.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
It's been a great pleasure.
Absolutely. And for those of you out there, go get the book. Read it. It's a great way to get started and to at least understand what you're looking at when you go into the marketplace and start a new business. So, again, thanks, Nick, and thanks for visiting the data stream. We'll see you real soon.